Please welcome Kylie Minogue.
Thank you. Yep. That was. We both made
We're
a meal
both
of that,
shimmying
didn't
on
we?
down. It's great. You shimmy better than I do, so I'm just going to put
I
that
don't know.
out
You've
there.
just revealed yourself to have the moves there, Keith.
Well, yeah, though there's a full stock of moves coming later. No, there isn't. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thanks for having me. Nice to see you all.
As I said earlier, your brand new album, Tension, just came out, and you are a very kind soul for have squeezed this into a very, very busy promotional schedule that you've had the past few months.
Yeah. You know you've been busy when people have seen that much of what you're doing and they say, you must be really tired. I'm like, you have no idea. You're just, but yes, thank you. But it's all going super well, and it's just so nice to have new music out, and it's reaching you. So I'm really happy for my team and, yeah, for listeners, old and new.
You know, the album, as I mentioned, has done incredibly well. I know we can't focus completely on, commercial success, but I work at Billboard and we do charts, and I like to talk about that stuff. But it's #1 in the UK, #1 in Australia. It's your biggest sales week in America in 20 years.
This is outrageous.
It's outrageous.
Yes!
I mean, obviously, it feels amazing to have all that happen, but it also must feel incredibly gratifying to know that this album has been so well enjoyed and warmly embraced, not just by your core fan base, but I think by a lot of people that maybe are becoming familiar with you for the first time with this album cycle. How does it feel?
Weird and wonderful. I guess I didn't even stop to think about that, making this album, or even when it was, or let's say the first single, because there's before Padam and after Padam. But I didn't really think about engaging with a new audience. So maybe I should have been thinking about. I was just trying to do the best work, try and live up to the expectations of existing fans, try and better what I've done before, et cetera, et cetera. But to have this moment where it's, I don't know, it feels like it was meant to be, but it wasn't something that I was aiming for. But it feels so refreshing and amazing to once again, like in the 80s, have this multi-generational moment. It's truly beautiful and heartwarming.
And the great thing about Padam Padam is that if I'm correct, this song...
You probably are. You know your stats. I think you know.
She's setting me up. When I make a mistake, I'm going to be called out on it. I feel like this song kind of wandered into your life. Like this song came to you out of the blue. Mm-hmm. That's a reference. Sort of? No? Okay.
Into the
thank
blue.
you.
Yeah.
You can confide in me later how I screwed that up. Yeah. How did the song come to you? Because it came from two outside songwriters, and did it just sort of waft into your life in a demo tape? How did it get to you?
It landed through a message or email. I can't actually remember that bit.
An Instagram DM. Just
no, through my amazing A&R guy, Jamie Nelson. If any of you have kind of in the industry or followed me for a while, you're like, who's this guy she keeps talking about? I first worked with Jamie Nelson first met him and worked with him in 1999. And we did Light Years together. So we go back a long way, and he's just, he's one of the best, and what's more, we work well together. So we've done the last 3 albums together. So for this one, it's a combination of going into the studio, writing, working on things myself, working with people I know, and incoming songs. So it's always so exciting when I get a message from him, be it an email or a message, whatever. Hey, what do you think of this? And it must be like, all of us are fans of music when you're about to hit something new, like here's a new song by blah, blah. But from me, when they're incoming songs, it could mean, make such a world of difference for me in my life and my career. There's that extra bit of, this matters. When I hit play, what is it? Sometimes it doesn't work for me. Sometimes I don't get it. This one arrived with, I like this, let me know what you think. Padam, padam, attachment, padam, padam. Padam, padam. I only ever have heard of Edith Piaf, padam, padam. So, yeah, press play, and that was it. I loved it. So, yeah, I guess on the one hand, it just kind of arrived in my life. But I don't think anything just arrives, I think of everything that's gone before. And right before the single came out, because I haven't met either of the writers or producers. Still.
Whoa.
I know, it's crazy. But I did email them and I said, hey, before, not knowing what Padam would do, but just before the first single, I said, just want to reach out before at least it gets mad for me either way. And they were both very generous, saying that people don't normally do that anyway. And that Lost Boy, the producer, something like, I've spent my lifetime studying your work. So yes, it landed from nowhere, but it doesn't really. It's kind of everything that leads to that point. But that was a good day. That was a long answer.
This is a conversation. We have a lot of time.
Yeah.
They're going to be hanging on every word, so you can talk as much as you want. Give long answers.
Okay.
That's really what.
And then what happened was, no, it's all right.
And then, well, you said you hadn't met them yet.
I still have not.
Would you like to perhaps work with them again? Are they going to send you more songs that show up mysteriously in email?
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. In fact, we
have
tried
they done that?
to.
Is that happening?
No, but we did try to make that happen, and everyone's schedules just didn't.
You're busy right now.
Everyone's yeah. I'm really busy, but they're probably busy too.
How do you when you heard it? Obviously, you knew that it was special. How do you know when something, especially a song that is sent to you, that you, because on this album, 7 out of the 11 songs you co-wrote. So you generally write a lot of your own material, but this song came to you from outside songwriters. How do you know when a song is good? We all can say oh, I know when I like something. What sparks? What are you listening for? What are you trying to find in something?
That's hard to define, actually. I think with Padam, I could just hear myself on it. I felt like this is sonically is all I have, but I could just sense that world and that I could deliver the song. Other songs will come in where I will, whether they make it or not, but sometimes I'll hear a song and go, I like it. I don't know if I can do it. It might be just a very different voice to mine. And now that I self-record, I can take my time in exploring that. But yeah, I don't know. It depends. Different times. Sometimes you're looking for that hit. Sometimes you're looking for something that might fill another part of the album and do something different. So yeah, it depends. Still always looking for hits. bring on the hits.
But people can say they're looking for hits, but sometimes when you think something is going to be a hit, it won't be the hit. Because something changes.
Yeah, you never know. You really don't.
But I think on the surface, this song, you would have not necessarily assumed oh, is this going to take off on viral media? Is this going to become a TikTok moment? No one can plan for that, and it just sort of happened.
It wasn't even a question. It wasn't a consideration. That's not where I.
You're not living on TikTok, Kylie. You're not just dancing at night.
Well, I can say that I finally get it, which is good. I did meet. Actually, it was here. Yeah, it was here. I suddenly just had to think, where am I? Listen, sorry, my world's in a spin right now. It was here, and we had a listening party, which was lots of fun. And amongst a whole bunch of people, I met some TikTok people afterwards and did a picture, and I said, meet you, and I just said, I don't know if it's for me. There's just a bit of a confessional. I said, I tried. I don't know that not for me. And one of the women, she was so cool. She just said, I get it. like it's not something everyone can just tap into. Blow me down. However many weeks it was later, I was all over the thing.
You're like, I'm all
so
over
now I
TikTok.
can say, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it when you're not trying to force it. And I think that community decides you can't make them take time out of their day to be interested, to come up with content, to be hilarious, to be engaging. So, yeah, there's the difference between trying to get the song right, trying to choose the single order right, just trying to get it all as good as you can. But none of us even considered that, so it was such a nice surprise.
Kylie mentioned a listening event, a playback, and I'm fairly confident I was at that one. And she came in, I was like, oh my God, Kylie's actually going to be here. And then you played the album, and you danced with the crowd the entire time.
I danced all night.
And
Yeah.
a friend who was there was like, are you going to go? I'm like, I am not going to throw myself into the dance floor because this will be incredibly embarrassing. So I missed my moment to have a dance. So maybe later. Maybe later.
Yeah.
But like when you see Kylie here and how lovely and kind she is, that is the way she is. So when she's not on stage, she's just as nice and kind as you think that she is.
That's nice. I might be a little grumpy in the mornings before my coffee, but once we've got that under control, we're pretty good.
You mentioned your home studio. I remember reading about how during COVID, sort of as a necessity, you kind of built a home studio. Is this like a full-on vocal booth situation, or is it you kind of learning the technology?
It's not that proper. No, it's very makeshift. So obviously I had no choice. That's what it was like in lockdown. So I upgraded my mic for this album. I had to place a call myself, which got me the mic a bit faster than I otherwise would have got a mic. Which is good. That was a good day too. So yeah, I have not really travelled far without the mic I did most of this album on, my beautiful Telefunken 251, which I just love. Plus I've got two others. I've turned into this geek. I have these, mic conversations. I'm like, who are you? But I like it. I love it.
Do you find yourself like, is it easier now to make a new album because you can do so much of it? If you're just thinking of lyrics or a melody at home, you're like, let me get this down quickly.
Yeah, it's literally changed everything. And I was thinking when people have asked me about it, I said, I've got like kind of hangover anxiety of studios. I think of, my very, very first song was recorded as a demo, so I probably didn't have, I was like 19. When I was 17 and I made a demo cassette of 3 songs, I did cry because I was so nervous. I was 17. But, the early days of flying over from Australia to the UK to 10 days on the ground, or maybe sometimes less, to get everything done. And so there was a lot of pressure to get all your vocals those days, and then cut to after Stockgate and Waterman days, the 90s, and, you'd be renting this gorgeous studio in London, like quite stressful. So I think there's the lag of all of that, which makes it even more good for me to be able to do that myself. Yeah. And I record, it might be 8 a.m., it could be midnight. I was working one time in Melbourne, and I heard birds in my cans. I was like, birds? I looked at my laptop and went, it's 5 a.m. Shut it down, Minogue. What are you doing? It was probably a magpie, but I was still going, I think I've almost got what I'm trying to get. I'll just keep do a few more, like, kind of some obsession creeps in. But it's been brilliant, and I even think it's changed my understanding of my voice and the microphone, and I get so forensic about it, and I can take my time, and sometimes just, magic happens and I can send whatever I'm happy with. So it's really been empowering to have that skill.
Is it fair to say that many of the vocals, or a lot of the vocals on the album, might have started from the home recording?
Not so many started, but a lot of them were done. I'm like Padam was written, so I got the parts and just recorded it and sent my vocals up.
So Kylie's just sitting at home
I
recording
just,
Padam Badam.
yeah, I mean, yeah, there's no real evidence of these setups, but
Oh, you
they're
should just start
very.
setting up an iPhone to record yourself.
Nah, everyone's, even in sessions with other people, like, we want to get footage. And I said, it's not the same. It's just not the same. I really feel like when you're writing, it's kind of sacred time, and I would be aware of a camera. I don't know. I like to just get the job done.
When did the album kind of start as a process? When did you think, okay, it's time to make the next album? Because I feel like the reissue of her last album was Disco. I feel like there was a, yes.
I like that. Thank you.
I think that there was a deluxe reissue of that came out at the end of 2021, I think, right?
Was it? I don't have my timeline either.
Yeah, Infinite Disco.
Infinite Disco was
the
when
guest
was
list
that?
edition, that one.
I'm so glad you're all here. Honestly, where would I be without you?
So at what point after that did you start to think, okay, it's time for the next album? Or was it before that? I don't know.
It might. I mean, I'm going to backtrack it just a tiny bit further because this is my timeline of Golden, which was really great to work on. Yeah, thank you. I absolutely loved that experience, learning about a different approach to songwriting. But then when we did the Golden Tour, our kind of spine of a story, which no one in the audience needed to understand, but for us, there was a kind of storyline. Do you know about that? No. Obviously, no one did know
the
about
narrative
it.
of the tour?
Yeah, of the show, yeah.
Well, there was like the disco moment where everyone came barreling out.
Well,
for
we
Studio
were
54,
saying,
right?
okay, what if like Donna Summer was in Los Angeles, which had nothing to do with Golden, by the way, but a performer was in LA and they've got a gig in New York, but there's like a huge thunderstorm or something. There's no flights and they've got to bus it across country. So that was kind of our narrative. So at the end of the Golden Tour, we ended up at Studio 54. So I've just released Golden, like kind of country-tinged pop. But on that tour, by the time it was, which I loved that tour as well, but at the end being at the disco, I was like, I like it here. So that led to disco. And then because as everyone went through our COVID lives, the release of finishing disco, releasing disco, the few performances I did, it all just felt so disjointed and weird. I will forever be grateful for the album because it really motivated me and gave me purpose through each day. And I've had people in tears talking to me about disco and what it meant to them through that period. So thank you very much. So before I forget what the question was, to get to when did I start thinking about this album, I think it was like not too far after, after the couple of singles from disco, because it was just a bit of a blur. And I really wanted to, like so many of us in our lives, just kind of, just it's like going out into the rain and just washing off those 2 years.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to be in with one of my favorite writer-producers, Biff. I talk about him all the time. I love you, Biff. And just start in that environment. So, I mean, whenever that was, early 21,
Wow.
I think.
And you were just like, all right.
Because Infinite Disco must have been late 2020. Yeah, so early 21. Girl, you knew you were doing this talk. You could have done some fact-checking. Oh, dear.
I mean, you kind of mentioned what sort of the intention of tension was sort of. Do you feel like when you were getting with Biff, by the way, Biff has, I want to say his breakthrough moment was maybe the Spice Girls debut album and Wannabe, but I feel like out of all the people that he's worked with, maybe he's worked with you the most, probably since Light Years, maybe? Like, it feels
Well,
like
yeah,
he's
I
been
met
almost
him
on
in
every album.
1999.
Yeah. Wow.
And then in 2000, 2001, we did, well, Love at First Sight was our breakthrough moment. So, but I just, whether actually we have a pretty high rate of success. But
Yeah.
even if we didn't, we just love creating together. So it's always very life affirming.
So, I was going to ask this anyways, and you sort of said that it was life affirming, but I mean, what's special about working with him? Because you could sort of choose to work with anyone that you want, and I'm sure lots of people would love to work with you, but you clearly have a great rapport and friendship. So what makes it unique and special to just sit down where you know it's just going to be right?
Well, he's really good. He is a pop person at heart, and he's also very good and wise at bringing other people in. So enter someone like John Green, who is, gets all the feels and kind of does that kind of squidgy, wonky stuff in songs, and then Biff will kind of get that back on the kind of pop tracks. Duck, these are my three faves. Like the four of us, we feel like we're the gang, So Biff's he's great and he's adorable and he's very versatile and we have a laugh. It's always just nice to see him. He lets me stay over.
That's helpful.
I leave a very light footprint. You'd never know I was there. Yeah.
When you work together, I've always wondered this because I always ask a lot of artists, like when you're recording an album, do you tend to record a lot of material and then whittle it down, or do you kind of stay very focused? Like, okay, I've got these core 15 songs. Like, do you have just like a vault, like a glittery vault full of stuff that you haven't released?
Yeah, there's like the remnant box of just stuff, which we'll kind of dive back into. The heart of this album, I mean, aside from Padam coming in, which we'll just talk through, that's kind of this other, that's like a I don't know, a spaceship arriving. That was quite different. But when Biff, John, Duck, and I rented a house in Surrey, we did a lot because we would wake up, have breakfast, someone would have the guitars, melodies going everywhere. It was one of my favourite times ever. We can have a lot of output, and then you got to sort the wheat from the chaff.
Right. So there could be like a super deluxe edition of Tension coming in time for the holidays.
I'm like, there's got to be an album called The Duds. The Duds, the things that we're like, oh, there's some duds. I think there's some proper, or like maybe that much of an idea, but you can't. As much as I'd love to explore each and every one of them, you can't.
I asked this earlier, when a song comes to you, it's kind of mostly finished. And I think that might be sort of less pressure because it's not something that you did to determine, is this working? How do you know when a song that you've written and recorded and produced and finished in the studio, how do you know it's done? Because I sometimes will
You're right, I think that's harder.
Like, it's like we've got 12 different versions of this. Which is the one that we're going to go
Yeah,
with?
and I guess it just goes, and then we're not in the same room. This is all quite remote or until we see each other again. I think just keep trying to chip away. Sometimes, a section's extended and then we realize that was a bad idea. We should go back to the way it was. And now I can drive them crazy because I can send,
I had an idea.
I know the deadlines, but there's this harmony that's just got to go on. It's got to go on. There's this extra bit. Please don't hate me, but it's, yeah.
I think it would be hard to hate you, Kylie.
Well, but I might frustrate them. I might drive them a bit mad.
Did you give yourself a deadline for this album? Did you have like a hard stop? Like, all right, we need to have it finished by this day.
That's Jamie Nelson's task, which is hard.
So there sort of was a quasi.
Well, when it's getting when we think we've got the bulk of it, yes, there's
Like, all right,
there's
let's
a
get on
kind
this.
of that stuff I stay out of. I don't really understand what's the best time to release it. That's not my. You guys decide. But then when there is the cutoff point, I remember Jamie saying to me on Disco, which was even harder because we weren't able to connect barely at all. And I'm sure he's been through this with a lot of artists anyway. How did he say this? It was really helpful. He said, because I must have been saying, I don't know if I've got it. Do I need more time? Even on Tension, I'll look back and go, I wish I'd done that or made this. But his advice, which I tried to keep for this album as well, but certainly for Disco, was it marks a point in time, because if you finished a day later or a week later or a month later, it's going to be different to finishing it now. So there's just got to be a point where you, even if reluctantly, like, hand it over.
You're letting it go into the world.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm still nervous. It's done and I still get nervous saying it. Like, yep.
You still get nervous before a new album comes out?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But you know it's going to be good.
Well, yeah, but could it be better?
That's why you have the deluxe edition coming later.
Yeah.
I wanted to say this before, because I had a couple statistics that I had written down, and I wanted to say this before I forgot. But I was writing a story for Billboard.com the other day about how your album debuted at #1 on our dance chart, and clap for that.
Yay!
But as I was writing it, I was like, oh, I was entering some statistics about how big Padam Padam is. And then I realized it's actually your third biggest streamed song ever in the United States.
What are the first two? Well,
Can
can't get you out of my head.
That's #1. You'll never guess what #2 is, or maybe you will.
I won't.
Santa Baby.
Well, yeah, Christmas does come around
Christmas.
every year. Yeah. Which was a B-side.
Yeah,
On-
yeah. It started off
Anyone
as a
know what that
B-side.
was a B? Thank you. Which is another song I did with Biff.
There you go. It all comes
Yeah.
full circle.
Yeah.
I
That's amazing.
it is.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I could give you that.
Wonder what #4 is.
I'll get back to you.
In your eyes? That would make sense. Do you know that, or are you guessing?
No, I'm pretty sure it's in your eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like 60,000 on Spotify, 60 million.
Love it. Thank you, the almanac there.
I want to ask about some specific songs on the album. When I was just listening through, I mean, also I just want to say it's like basically all killer, no filler. It is just
Oh, thanks.
from start to finish. It is so incredibly
Well,
enjoyable.
there's variety.
Well, there absolutely is variety. One of the songs that kind of struck me as being a little bit different and unusual is Hands.
Yeah.
So I desperately want to get to the bottom of this mystery, which I'm sure the audience already knows the answer to, but
Yeah.
I need to be enlightened.
Yeah.
There is some rapping on the track.
Yes.
I'm confident one of the voices is you.
Yes.
Is the other voice I hear also you, or
No.
is it one of the producers of the song?
It's one of the writers.
one of the writers.
Credited as Ms. Marinade. And I can enlighten you, and I've been desperate to enlighten everybody. So when Jamie told me about the demo before he sent it to me, and I'm sorry, Jamie Nelson, I always do a kind of extreme version of your accent. It's like, all right, Min, I know you're not a rapper, but there's this, this could be the best thing or it could be the worst, but are you up for giving it a try? And I said, you know me, yes, of course. For better or worse, I try just about everything. So when the song came through, I spent a long time trying to access this, like getting past my embarrassment or whatever, like, how do I do this? With some kind of attitude or, I don't know, confidence or whatever, or, belief in myself. And the very first part, I don't know, once it kind of kicked in, I could make it my own. But this first part, and Jamie said, well, let's just keep the demo vocal. And he said, yeah, it's one of the guys. I'm like, what do you mean it's one of the guys? So it was one of the writers, and his voice is pitched to sound like a woman. And I could have literally throttled Jamie. I was like, that would have been really helpful to tell me when I was just trying every kind of entrance point to mimic this sound. If I'd known it was a man's vocal, I might have felt a bit, I don't know, tried it differently. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a mystery, and I've seen some reaction videos where people are like, I'm into it, and then they just go, it isn't, and then by the time they figured out it isn't, then it is me. So yes, we were about to reveal all of that, but now that's Ms. Marinade, which I think is clever. Whose identity shall not be revealed further than that. They're quite shy.
A couple other songs I wanted to ask about. One more time, when it starts, I was like, okay, this is a nod to One More Time by...
All right, yeah.
Well, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't the intention, but I was
Well,
like,
Forever, Daft Punk, we love.
How did that song come about? Because the first part of it is sort of that's not the rest of the song. It sort of leads you into it, and then the song changes a little bit.
You are very observant, because that song was something else. I can't even remember what it was. We liked the track, and something else was written, and I literally can't even recall now. And during our time in Surrey, when it was like, we know we've got these days together, we just wanted to, harvest as much as possible. And it was a track that we'd worked on sometime before. And I said to Biff, I've got this different idea for the chorus. It's Lord, no, no, no. So I said, I think if we go to somewhere like that, it might have a chance, which it did. So yeah, it started out as, I can't remember what, but something very different to what it ended up as.
Does that happen a lot, where you take maybe pieces of songs or bits and bobs and kind of connect them together after the fact, or is that kind of more rare?
I think that's rarer. It does happen, but I think mostly the songs the bulk of them will happen. Then when you're getting to kind of fine-tuning, some other parts might come, but yeah, that's not normally the case.
Mm-hmm. Do you currently have, obviously all of these songs are your favorites. Do you have a song that is like right now your favorite?
Right now, Hold On To Now does it does something that's very satisfying from me on a personal level, where I feel like it's the big questions, the big existential questions, and like the questions that you daren't even say out loud, like are very internal, and I think it puts them together, at least in my mind, and certainly by the end, I feel like I'm just flying.
I feel like, on the album, you can listen to it with different sort of intents or levels. You can sort of listen to it and groove and dance and have a party. If you listen closer, you hear more. And I think you can take away from it different elements and different bits. And that's the great thing about pop music. The great thing about what you do is that we can all come out of a song with a different feeling. And the last song on the album is Story, which...
Oh, thank you.
It knocks you over. It is just so good. I said it was an epic track, and that it's just, and it goes so full throttle too. And you're like, oh, this is a fun dance song, and then you listen closer, you're like, but you don't know exactly what it's about. But I think you can apply different bits of the song like a poem to your own life. And I was asking a coworker of mine who was based in New York, I said, oh, I'm talking to Kylie tonight. Do you have anything you want me to ask her? And he said, Story is literally my favorite song of hers.
I can't tell you how much that means to me. Thank you so much.
Why did you want that album or that song to kind of close the album out?
Well, it closed the album in the making of the album as
Really?
well. Yeah. And like that one just, I don't say what it's about. Obviously it's like personal stuff, but I started it on my own in Melbourne, and then I worked on it after we did Vegas High. We did Vegas High so quickly. I was with 3 guys, and I said, I've got this other song that I'm trying to just again find the way, figure out the puzzle, how to do it, and trying to find the way that it's not too self-indulgent, too kind of going down that hole. And I don't know, from nowhere came out that, that one, like heaven up there. I was like, what? And it just gave it this, it then made sense of the more soul-searching, kind of desperate parts of the song to make it have some kind of triumph to it and to have a determination. So then we got that part, still wasn't quite working. I went back to Australia, still wasn't working. I had too many sections of the song that I thought all the sections had a merit. And I, by hook or by crook, I was like, this is going on my album, because without this song, I won't be happy. It was that important to me.
Wow.
And I flew from Australia, from Melbourne to London. I went straight from the airport to my office, and I had to have a wardrobe fitting, which is like, I'm sorry, fashion people, but so I had to get that out of the way, and I more or less begged Biff and Doug. I was like, please, like, this is the last day. We've got to make this work. And so they came to my office and we did a little mini setup, like the mobile studio. And so by the time you get I'm jet lagged off my head. And so we brought up the session and got the shape of it, and I went, I'll put the kettle on. Like, that's the magic ingredient. When you don't know what to do, I'm stepping away, I'm putting the kettle on. And I literally went to the kitchen in there and ran back going, I got it. You could be the one. And they're like, okay, that makes sense. And it was the thing that knitted the whole song together. And then I think they had to deliver it the next day. And so, yeah, from the kitchen, I got it. So, yeah, story on many levels is a story within a story within a story within a story. And my ultimate aim was that it became part of other people's stories. So I'm very appreciative for that.
You mentioned Vegas High.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great segue for me to ask you about your upcoming...
About what I'm doing in a month?
Yes.
Opening in a month?
You've got a few shows coming up. I feel like very little, but also a lot is known about this residency. It's more. Is it officially called more than just a residency? It feels like...
Well, that's from the Voltaire Club,
Right.
which is...
What are you calling it, Kylie?
I don't know. My residency? I don't know. I don't know.
You don't know?
It's a good question. A good time? Happy time?
Sure.
So the way I've been describing it is, I guess most places you go to see a show, and I've seen a bunch of shows in Vegas, and trust me, I want to see more when I get there to start rehearsals. I'm looking at you, Adele, and you too. Yes.
What about that sphere? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. You should play that.
Need to have like a dizzy tab. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, from my show that's going to be very intimate.
Segue right over to that.
Yeah.
The after party is that sphere.
Exactly. what was I saying? What am I calling it? Oh, so yes. So as opposed to it being an environment where the atmosphere is brought once the show starts. At Voltaire, you'll come in and it's it's glamour, it's decadence, and then I'm on later. So hence, more than just a residency, that's more for Voltaire.
It's an entire experience.
Yeah,
and you're the star of it.
I mean, it's a lot of guesswork how it's going to pan out my show because it's it's close like this, closer even like here. Yeah, right. So
Is that a little scary for you, having sort of that up close, intimate, personal?
Only when I overthink it, because you put me in any environment. I mean, if I've got my band and got songs and got people, a willing audience, it will work. It'll kick off, So, yeah, but I've been saying it's going to be quite, heightened before I even get to the stage. But I think that my fans are going to turn it to Studio 54 pretty quickly. So I've already warned the team at Venetian, I'm like, don't blame me if the furniture gets
You invited me.
damaged. That's not my fault.
They knew what they were signing up for. Is the set list nailed down for the show? Is it completely all set in stone?
It's done.
Okay.
We'll figure out once we get into rehearsals. But I think what will be, it's all going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it immensely. Of course, I get a little bit nervous right beforehand, like everything. But I think like tonight, it's been great to see you all, and the conversation goes where it goes, and you're here together. So I think that's going to be beyond the show and the production. I think the magic will be that we're spending that time together in that kind of environment.
Are you going to take requests from the audience?
Probably.
Probably.
Yeah. It's like management team go, oh no, what's she done now?
No, what is she doing? That's not part of the
Hopefully I will remember some of the songs better than my release dates and chart information.
Is there, when you're planning a show like this, or like a proper tour, where you're going from city to city, is there now a point, sort of when you're planning a tour, that there's a song that you know that you have to perform? Otherwise, maybe the crowd would riot at the end of the night if they don't hear it. Because you have so many hits, like you can pick and choose through a lot of them.
I know it's difficult. It's always the first most difficult thing of any show. What is the set list? How long do I have? It's mostly the same wherever. It doesn't really matter which country, but some people are going to be disappointed because they don't hear this, or it's a different version. It's tricky. So you'll just get what you're given, okay? Like sometimes it's good to go back to the original song because we've morphed over time, and I think it's more about what we've done recently, and there's a lot of audience who come to my shows who have been there at the previous show and the previous show, so I want to keep it interesting for them, and then now there's probably going to be some new people coming, so I don't know, it's tricky.
So the crowd is only like 1,000 people, so it's like basically 5 times this,
right?
Essentially.
Yeah.
I think we have some questions that were submitted in advance from the audience.
You've been vetted.
Well, I haven't seen these, so
okay.
I don't know. So these don't actually have names on them, so I apologize. But if this is your question, maybe you can just yelp. After releasing an album during the height of the pandemic, how does it feel to now be able to do more in-person events like this with fans?
Oh, yes. Yeah, but that was you. Amazing. It was just so odd during COVID, and even doing performances, it's like, I don't know, it was just so weird. People with masks on. I'm even detached from my own team. I'm detached from myself. It was just so weird and not very enjoyable. So yes, this is magical to be able to be back with everyone. 100%. Yep. How's it for you guys? Everyone's happy.
I watched the concert that you recorded in COVID. I watched it on New Year's Eve in
Infinite
lockdown
Disco.
in the house.
Yeah. I was very proud of that. It's very, again, strange for all of us. We're going, it's a concert, but it's not. It's a TV show. And everyone was, we'd been in our, track pants for months and done nothing. We're just like, so unfit. How do we do this? But I'll forever be proud of Infinite Disco. Might make a reappearance.
Another question. Your new album is rather visual. Did you have any cinematic or film references that inspired your music? That is from Daniel Aguilar.
Woohoo, Daniel! Where's Daniel? Oh, hi. Yes. Do you mean making the album or for the videos? What do you mean? What? Both?
Both.
Not when I started making the album for sure, but there's certainly some songs that when we're writing them, I get carried away thinking, what's this going to be like live? Like, what's the emotion going to be? Where are people going to react? Where's the confetti? Like, when's the lasers? Where's the budget go? But no, the visuals I wasn't too. I think I was just so focused on the music that the visuals just came when they came.
All right. Last question. Do you understand how much you are loved by so many? With this promotion, you seem so happy.
Don't make me cry now.
Are you enjoying this ride right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. 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 I'm going to get all misty. I really, really am, because it's been a lifetime of work, and with lots of people and lots of love and ups and downs and everything in between. And I'm so, I think I love it even more than I've ever loved it. Like, my understanding of the puzzle of a song and what a song can do for people and for us, and the life force of music. And I don't think I understood it that well years and years ago. It was like, just the next thing I'm doing, and, kind of learning everything on the go. But I think whether it's just the amount of experience I've had, or I'm at this point in my life, but it's really amazing. And on top of that, to be having, I felt like this before the album came out. So now that we've pedammed and we've broke the tension and all of that, that's just bonus, because I felt so fulfilled and challenged, and all sorts of emotions through making the album, like a year and a half of making it. A lot of stuff happens in a year and a half as well, in all of our lives, and the people that we work with, and the people that we love, and the things that matter to us, and trying to put all of that, you can't even help but some of that being in your art or your craft or your being. So yeah, I'm super, super grateful, and I am enjoying this ride very, very much. So thank you.
I think actually that might be a wonderful place for us to leave this conversation.
Thank you.
You're gonna see her in Vegas. She's taking requests there. But
Nothing too random. Don't get me started.
But this has been incredibly lovely, and we appreciate you doing this All of us appreciate you.
Oh, thank
and
you.
thank you so much. And give it up. Kylie Minogue, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Take care. Love you.